Hello students and welcome to the online Social Science Class 7 at Lead School at Home. Today we're going to cover Day 1 of Unit 3 of History. Every day you would be attending the online class and doing the homework for that day. You can then check your answers the following day. Make sure that you have your supplementary book, your NCERT book, and your notebook with you at all times while attending the online class. So today, we're going to begin Unit 3 of History. Throughout this unit, we're going to learn about different things. In the previous unit, we studied the rise of different types of towns and cities. We also learned about jatis, varnas, and the changing societies in medieval India. Today, we're going to begin a new unit called Changing Thoughts, Developing Cultures. In this unit, we will cover chapters 8, 9, and 10 of our NCERT book. Before we begin this unit, let's look at some important points that we need to keep in mind throughout this unit.
Hello students, today we are starting a new history unit, Changing Thoughts, Developing Cultures. Do you know why this unit is named Changing Thoughts, Developing Cultures? It is because in this unit we will study the following aspects of the 18th century: new thoughts and ideas, development of regional cultures, and political changes. In this unit, we will study 3 chapters. Chapter 8, Devotional Paths to the Divine. Chapter 9, The Making of Regional Cultures. And Chapter 10, 18th Century Political Formations. For every class of this unit, you will need your NCERT History book, Social Science Supplementary book, and History notebook. Always make sure that your notebook is complete. Your notebook will be scored once per unit as an assessment. Always write the date before starting work in your notebook. Record the new words in this unit in your vocabulary page. How to create a vocabulary page. Open the last page of your notebook. Write the heading Vocabulary section on the top of the page. Make 3 columns. Give the heading word to the first column, meaning to the second column, and example to the third column. Write the word cult in the word column. Write its meaning in the meaning column and a sentence in which it has been used. I am excited to start this learning journey. Sure, let's begin. All the best for this term.
Now let's do a small activity before we begin this unit. So do you remember the key features of the Bhakti Movement that we studied about in class 6? Let's quickly recap what we've learned about this movement in class 6. Personal devotion to the chosen God. Individual worship with no elaborate rituals. Individual worship with no elaborate rituals required. And anyone could follow the path of bhakti. Now, I want you to observe each image in the next 4 slides carefully. Write down on your own whether these images represent the idea of bhakti or not. Also, write down the reason to support your answer. Let's start with the first one. Take 30 seconds to jot down if you think this image represents the Bhakti movement. Why or why not? Take 30 seconds to jot down your answer for this image. Take 30 seconds again to jot down your answers. And now take 30 seconds to jot down your answers for the last image. Now let's take a look at the answers. Image 1 represents Bhakti because it shows that anyone could follow the path of Bhakti. Image 2 does not represent Bhakti because it shows elaborate rituals, which were against the idea of Bhakti. Image 3 is also an example of Bhakti because it shows people could worship God in their chosen way without elaborate rituals. And the last one is also not a representation of Bhakti because it represents a court scene. So today, we're going to begin chapter 8, called Devotional Path to the Divine. We will study the spread of the Bhakti movement across the Indian subcontinent between the 7th and the 17th century. So we saw how the emergence of new towns led to the development of new ideas, especially the idea of God and different methods of worship. Now when I say the word God, what does it mean to you? Jot down your answers and take 2 minutes to do this. So we saw that different people have different ideas. So we know that different people have different ideas about God. Many new ideas related to a supreme God and methods of worship developed during medieval times with the development of the Bhakti movement. Let's learn more about the Bhakti movement through a presentation. Before the emergence of large kingdoms, different groups of people followed old beliefs and methods to worship their gods and goddesses. Now, take 1 minute to stop and jot the answer to the question you see on your screen. But Bhakti said that devotion to Supreme God is not related to one's social structure, gender, or varna. The old belief said that social privileges come from birth in a noble or high caste. But Bhakti rejected the idea of special privileges in the worship of God. The old belief said that the rigidity of thought and methods of worship to be followed were mentioned in the Vedas and the Upanishads. Bhakti said that the methods of worship as given in the Puranas were to be followed. Local myths and legends were also introduced. Now, take 1 minute to stop and jot your answers to the question. Look at the answer. Since anybody could follow the path of Bhakti, it gained popularity among the common people. These ideas disregarded the unequal social structure and allowed everyone to express their devotion to their chosen God. Since no elaborate sacrifices were needed, even the poor people could worship God. The Bhakti saints spread these new ideas using stories and poems in the language of the ordinary people. This also helped popularize Bhakti. Now, I want you to answer practice question 1.1 on SD1. Take 3 minutes to do this. Let's take a look at the answer. The question said to arrange the following events in the correct sequence. The first is that large empires and big towns were established. The second is that different groups worship different gods. The third is that the caste system was prevalent. The fourth is that many people turned to the teachings of Buddhism and Jainism. The fifth is that the idea of bhakti or supreme devotion to God emerged. And the sixth is that the Bhakti movement considered everyone equal, irrespective of their caste or status. So today we learned how different religious ideas developed in the 7th century with the emergence of new empires, towns, and cities. We also learned more about the Bhakti movement. Remember to do your homework, and your homework for today is to read Concept Time 1 on SP2 and answer practice questions 2.1 and 2.2 on SP3. Read the question given on page 105 of the NCERT book. Ask your elders or your parents to share any local myth or story related to God with you. Jot down notes in your notebook to share in the next class. Look through the pictures in this unit and predict in 1 to 2 sentences what you will learn about in this unit. Write your prediction in your notebook. Remember to ask your parents to check your homework for you tomorrow. Bye and happy learning.